But who's potentially in more trouble here, Avenatti or Cohen? Let me ask former criminal defense attorney and legal analyst Emily Compagno. Emily, welcome back to the show.
Thanks so much, Kennedy.
So there are a lot of accusations here about Michael Cohen accepting payment from corporations, shady, legitimate, and massive. Is this legal?
Well, I hate to give that typical attorney answer, but it depends, and here's why. So essentially, a lobbyist can accept money to sell access to someone who's an elected official, right? But the laws here dictate that you must declare yourself as one if you do it over 20% of the time. So essentially, it's unusual for him to have accepted these payments. And let's be frank, let's take a step back for a second. For a lot of the reasons that these companies allege that they gave him payments, that's frankly not really within the wheelhouse of that shell company. So what was his saleable asset? It was the relationship to now President Trump. So as long as he, if this is his saleable asset, did it less than 20% of the time, then that technically is legal. But that's a global answer, because there's a lot more questions that we have and answers that we need before I can blanket say, yes, it was illegal or no, it was not.
I mean, if this were President Obama's personal attorney taking this much money, millions of dollars from Russians and AT&T and Novartis, like a big drug company, I think a lot of people would legitimately be having kittens, justifiably so. So I think there is some splaining to be done, and maybe the issue isn't Cohen selling access. You know, perhaps there were other people close to the president who were doing the exact same thing, knowing that if they sort of sidestepped some of the technicalities, it would in fact be legal.
Right, and it also remains to be seen what the president had knowledge of. And is this the example of someone who's had a close relationship with someone who is selling that access or purporting to sell that access? Did anything come to fruition? Was anything actually impacted? So, for example, the AT&T payments, I mean, what really is going on with net neutrality and the merger? You could argue that really they didn't benefit at all, which is partly of why lobbying is a gamble. But again, if there's that 20% mark,
well,
that is important.
We don't know that,
and also
because the final decision on that is not coming down until mid-June on the AT&T merger.
That's true. That does remain to be seen. But I think the bottom line is that it's a gamble in terms of those benefits. And again, we need more information before we can attach ourselves to the conclusory statements of what really went down. But certainly there are a lot of questions that we have. And as you said, there's a lot of explaining that needs to be done with these payments and what exactly was going on. All
right. So the Treasury Department Inspector General is looking into how Michael Avenatti accessed this banking information for Michael Cohen's company. And, you know, they say that it's very questionable how he disseminated it and how he got it in the first place. Could Avenatti be in trouble?
He could if he was publishing certain private information. But note that with the OIG, the Office of Inspector General with the Department of Treasury, really it means that they're looking internally. And the issue would be who leaked that document to him. Obviously, we see that he kind of fancies himself the public town crier and that he's bringing this semblance of justice. So it's not often the actual publisher, but it's who leaked that information that would likely be on the hook if that's ever ascertained.
No, it is just, he's the rube. He's a sophist. I'm so sick of that guy. All right, so who's in bigger trouble here based on what you've seen and what we know? Michael Avenatti or Michael Cohen?
There is greater potential trouble for Cohen, definitely.
Oh, the hits just keep on coming. The presidential jukebox does not disappoint. Emily, thank you so much.